after we flip the front pages first with some strong language and adult humour.
Good evening. I was going to wear that, but luckily I didn't. Imagine the embarrassment.
US level, please, Gregson.
Yeah, I was going to wear that.
Good evening. Welcome to Have I Got News for You? I'm Charlie Brooker. In the news this week, after weeks of negative press about dubious gifts, Angela Rayner reluctantly agrees to return some of her free shoes. Ahead of a busy day at a global summit, Emmanuel Macron undertakes his daily naked yoga routine, unaware his hotel room curtains are see-through. And as tensions rise in the region, North Korea unveils state-of-the-art new measures to stop people crossing the border. On Ian's team tonight is an artist who's famous for his teddy bear sidekick Alan Measles, although he's thinking of replacing him with a more up-to-date companion, Malcolm Monkeypox. Please welcome Grayson Perry. And on Paul's team tonight is a comedian whose dad owned a sex shop. It never affected her life until that traumatic 9th birthday when she asked for a rabbit. Please welcome Angela Barnes. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Paul and Angela, take a look at this.
Oh, yes, he's been doing that action ever since he was a teenager. Yeah, Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. This is an American election coming up.
And that's the Labour leader, Keir Starmer. Are the Labour volunteers helping with the American election?
Yes, this was one case where the journalists were getting a bit overexcited. They were saying, oh, this, you know, the Labour volunteers have gone over to work on Kamala Harris's campaign, and this might affect our relationship with a Trump presidency, as if that was going to be any kind of normal relationship, if, God forbid, he wins.
I love this, the idea that... Aren't they basically just door knockers and canvassers? The idea they could make any difference. Like, if door knocking worked, then, for a start, we'd all be Jehovah's Witnesses with excellent broadband.
Are you not? It's a manoeuvre to influence the election in favour of the Democrats. It's been dubbed Operation Zero Difference.
And also, Trump made this an issue the week 100 sort of Labour volunteers coming over. This is the same week that Elon Musk is offering £1 million to any voter. It's essentially an enormous bribe to the electorate. So Trump is saying, what about these volunteers from Britain? They're going to make all the difference.
You enter a lottery by signing a petition supporting Trump. It's a bit of a loophole.
Yes.
And you have to be registered to vote in a swing state. And then you get entry to a prize draw to win $1 million. He's doing this every day. Yeah. Until the election.
Do you know who I feel for with this story? I think of poor old Stormy Daniels sitting at home watching this. Going, they just have to sign a petition and they get $1 million. I only got 130,000. You don't want to know what I had to do.
The Republicans have made an official complaint about what they're saying is Labour interference. They called it blatant foreign interference by the far left.
Starmer, the far left, he must be so flattered. Yes, but all those Corbynites turning in their graves.
To be fair to them, there is a bit of an unfortunate tradition of the British left trying to influence the US election.
Oh, this is with the Guardian newspaper. I can't remember which election it was now. A few years back.
It was. In 2004, the Guardian ran a letter-writing campaign encouraging Guardian readers to write letters to individuals in US swing states.
Yes.
They said things like this: please forgive this intrusion. I'm writing to you because I care about America deeply. And you may wonder why on earth your friends in Britain are telling you how to vote. And, oh, America, let us love you again. We might as well have opened with Dear Stupid Yank. How How do you think the Americans responded?
They were very angry.
They were not delighted. They said things like, get back to your crappy little island with its shitty food. They also wrote back to say, have you not noticed that Americans don't give two shits what Europeans think of us? Each email you send telling us why not to vote for the Republicans is going to backfire, you stupid yellow-toothed hound. Do you know who else has been complaining?
Is it our Nige?
It might be your night.
Farage himself has lobbied for Trump, and there's some question over whether Farage's plane tickets over there contravene the law about foreign intervention. So there is some suggestion that Farage himself might be hypocritical, which is difficult to believe. The Conservative Party, I mean, have frequently sent over volunteers. John Major sent over people to help George Bush get in. I mean, there is a tradition of doing this. It's just when the Labour Party do it, Trump turns it into an issue because he's worried about his actual interference with the election on the side.
Do they ever send people over here?
Yeah, they're Mormons.
Trump's longest-serving Chief of Staff, John F. Kennedy...
John F. Kennedy?
Breaking news.
Live on a comeback.
Yeah.
I knew someone had got shot at a rally.
John Kelly was his ex-chief of staff during the last time he was, or during the first time he was, or during the only time he was president, depending on when this goes out on Dave Channel. He said that sort of essentially that Donald Trump is a fascist and that he was always sort of saying Hitler was good.
John Kelly called him a fascist.
Yes.
Technically, he's a fascist.
Yeah.
It's good to have that cleared up.
Yeah.
Because no one had spotted that. I think it was the bit about rounding up your opponents and using the military, and you thought, yeah, that's very left-wing. Oh, no, it isn't.
Shall we move on to Kamala Harris?
Yes.
Yes.
Despite raising millions of dollars and making a slew of media appearances, what's she failing to do?
Shift the opinion polls.
There was a very cheering poll, though, that said that only about a quarter of America think there'll be civil war.
Yes.
Trump has been improving in the polls, but getting his voters out is perceived to be one of his main weaknesses. How has he been trying to get people to turn out for him?
This is not working at McDonald's, is it?
We're coming to that.
Oh, well, OK, I'll save that bit then.
He's been appearing on lots of sort of incel websites.
Yes, and working at McDonald's as well. Too early.
We're coming to that.
We're coming to that.
I'll give you a nod.
Give me a nod.
I'll give you a nod.
OK, yeah, I'll watch out for
Yeah,
that.
'cause one of the things that's interesting about the US election and across Europe as well is the kind of gender divide now.
You're close to what he's been trying to do. It's something to do with gender. He's been appealing to his female base. He said in one speech, get your fat husband off the couch, get that fat pig off the couch, slap him around, get him up. So, Paul,
Yes.
What do you think Trump might have done this week to appear like a man of the people?
He's been working at Burger King.
Would you like to see him at work?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, please don't let the United States become Brazil, my native Brazil.
We'll keep it
Please,
good.
Please, please.
We're going to make it better than ever, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, Mr. President. Yes.
I don't know if you could tell, but that was staged.
He's doing it out of fury because...
Oh, because she worked at McDonald's.
Yeah, Kamala Harris said she worked in a
Yes.
McDonald's, and he said, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
And then the Republicans said, OK, if you worked there when you were 20, where's the invoices? Where's the receipts? From 30 years ago, a part-time job. And she said, I don't have them. And they said, aha, you're lying.
I think it's nice to see that McDonald's does give opportunities to convicted felons.
While Kamala has been denouncing Trump as a fascist at her events, what important issue has been on Trump's mind?
Oh, is this the size of Arnold Palmer's manhood?
Funnily enough, yes. Arnold Palmer, deceased golfing legend, is of great interest to Donald Trump. Do you want to see what he said at a rally the other day?
This is a guy that was all man. His man was strong and tough. And I refuse to say it, but when he took showers with the other pros, they came out of there, they said, oh, my God. That's unbelievable. I had to say it.
Are we sure he had a big penis, or did it just look big in Donald Trump's tiny hand?
The story doesn't even make any sense anyway, like all the golfers showering together. I mean, the golfers don't all finish a round of golf at the same time. You know.
This is the Trump campaign's accusation that Labour is interfering in the US presidential election. 100 Labour Party activists are heading to America intent on swinging the election for the Democrats, although they'll spend the first week desperately trying to find somewhere in Alabama that serves quinoa salad. Reacting to the news, a spokesperson for Trump said, every time the British try to interfere in America, it does not end well, starting with the defeat at the Battle of Yorktown all the way up to James Corden's chat show. Ian and Grayson, take a look at this.
OK, that's Keir in the call centre. Your call's important to us.
They've given her control of Keir. There's the Wester.
This is basically because everything is falling apart and there's no money to fix it. So, would you like to play a fun little game instead?
Yeah, sure.
course
What's
we
the
would.
game?
Yeah.
Is it called Have I Got News for You?
In honour of Labour's attempts to fix, change or otherwise patch up the country, we're playing a little game called Back, Sacked or Cracked. Basically, I show you a picture and I want you to tell me what it is and whether it's come back, getting sacked or is totally cracked. Fingers on buzzers.
Yep. Yes.
Here's your first one. What's this?
Is this the NHS? I think it's backed, though, the NHS.
It's cracked. It's cracked. It's well and truly cracked. Health Secretary Wes Streeting has got a big idea to fix the NHS, and do you know what it is?
You're saying he's found a way to stop the crack showing in the NHS? Is that to sew up the backs of those gowns?
It's a brilliant suggestion.
It's the consultation.
Yes.
And, of course, the public have responded in their usual glorious British way by suggesting things like every hospital should have a Weatherspoons.
Do you know some of the other things that the public suggested? This is on a website, basically.
They suggested that ambulances didn't have an alarm, but they had Danny Dyer shouting.
Out the way, eat less chips, you fat bastard.
They include building a Weatherspoons in every hospital, making a dog health secretary, offering lobotomies to the population of Birmingham, which I thought had already happened, changing all ambulance sirens to Danny Dyer shouting "Nino" and firing Wes Streeting out of a cannon. Can you think of any other ways to improve the nation's health?
Pay junior doctors a decent whack. Like, I read somewhere that junior doctors get paid less than an IT graduate, and you can't just turn a life support machine on and off again.
While we're on health,
Yes.
have a look at this picture. Tell me what this is.
Is that Britain's gold reserves?
Scurvy.
It's back.
It is back.
Yeah, there were 171 cases reported in the NHS last year. I'm more excited about scurvy coming back than Oasis. Next bit of back sacked or cracked?
Yes,
go
Back
on.
sacked or cracked? OK, take a look at this.
This is Porridge, the sitcom. Ronnie Barker, Fort Mackay, Richard Beckinsale. They're letting prisoners out early to make more room for prisoners to go into prison.
You are right. This is the over 1,000 convicted criminals who are back on the streets this week after having their sentences cut short to free up space.
The papers and photographers are now outside prisons, just waiting for the early release day.
Yeah, wasn't there a guy who sort of posed with a Bentley?
Yeah, and there was a guy who was picked up in a Lamborghini.
It's a kind of prom.
It's a happy day.
Yeah, one of them said thank you to Keir Starmer for letting him out early.
He did. Would you want to see a picture of him?
Yeah,
You want to see a picture of him?
certainly
Here he
do.
is. Look,
There he is.
Daniel Dowling Brooks. He told journalists, I kidnapped someone who owed my friend money. I tied him up and had him at gunpoint. It was bad, but not as bad as they made it. And he added, big up Keir Starmer.
Yeah.
Well, he said more than that, but his sentence got cut short.
Very good.
There's a moth flying around.
Yeah. I think it's jumped out of the script.
Your final back sacked or cracked?
Sacked, hopefully.
It's a trick question, this.
Did he have a back sack and crack?
It's a trick question because he is all three. Most people think he's cracked. He was also sacked by his constituents, but now he's back. Do you know why he's back?
Is it because it's Halloween next week?
He's back on his own reality show. Here's a glimpse of it. Have a look. There you go. Sort of like a 1920s goggle box.
I like to see he sits on his own sofa in the same way he sits on the benches in the House of Commons, like his ventriloquist has gone for a piss.
Do you know what it's called, his show?
At Home with the Rees-Moggs.
Nearly, it's Meet the Rees-Mogg.
Oh, Meet the Rees-Moggs.
Should have called it Country File. This is the news that the government has unveiled a key plank of its NHS strategy. It's called Wes Street. One major part of the government's health policy is for the NHS to introduce a digital approach, something the Royal College of Proctologists has been practising for years. More than 1,000 prisoners have been released early because of overcrowding. One was asked if he'd be celebrating with a wild night of drink, drugs and casual sex. He replied, "I've had enough of that inside for the last 4 years." So to round two, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers again, everyone.
Ah, yes, King Charles, Queen Camilla, been in Australia, as indicated by them coming down the steps. There's been some demonstrations by Aboriginal spokespeople who quite rightly have got a lot to complain about. Yeah, so there's a big talk about whether Australia should become a republic.
You're absolutely right. This is Indigenous Australian Senator Lydia Thorpe.
Yes.
She heckled the King during a reception at Parliament House in Canberra. She shouted, "You committed genocide against our people. You are not my king. Fuck the colonies." I think they've already done that.
He said, "Oh, have you come far?"
What did one woman outside a church in Sydney do to welcome him?
Did they dance together?
She played the flute. She played the flute at him. What was particularly impressive about the performance?
She didn't put it in her mouth.
What was impressive was that she'd only learned how to play God Save the King that very morning. Do you want to have a look?
Yeah, got him.
Oh.
Okay, straight over. Give me a pass.
Didn't bother to learn the second half. What other festivities did the Australians lay on for the royal couple?
Don't know, but there's always a big dinner, but it can't be that.
Oh, barbecue.
Barbecue.
Charles and Camilla experienced a sausage sizzle. Would you want to see their sausage sizzle?
We can't imagine what it would look like.
Here we go.
Did you ever meet Arnold Palmer?
This is the royal visit to Australia, where Charles was heckled and sworn at by an Australian senator. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said her behaviour was not of the standard Australians expect, because she was sober and didn't punch him. In a speech to Parliament, Charles reminisced about an earlier visit to Australia when he had to contend with brown snakes, spiders and eating unmentionable parts of a bull, after which Ant and Dec gave him 3 stars for camp. OK, fingers on buzzers.
Yes, this is clearly well, the photo tells us all, really, the Photoshop. It's a sheep has clearly been producing some art.
Are you telling me that's photoshopped?
Well, I don't think that beret looks real. Some artwork has been created by a sheep. I very much doubt that it's used those 2 brushes that it's got on the floor there.
Have you seen this story?
No. There's always an animal doing art whenever I come on.
This is the news that a sheep in South Africa has learned to paint. Would you like to see
He
it?
hasn't learned to paint.
It's a lie.
It just hasn't, though, has it?
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, go on, let's have a look.
Yeah.
There it is.
Are we looking for sheep-based painters' puns here? Rembrandt, is that one of them? Have you got one there?
You're nearly. Yes.
Nearly.
He's called Banksy. Although the Daily Star preferred to call him Lamb Goff.
That's dreadful.
Rembrandt was better. Would you like to see...
No, I don't think we do, actually.
Here you go. What's this? What's he painted here?
Feeding time.
Is it a self-portrait?
It is an animal.
It isn't.
It's a rhino.
It's a warthog. You're close, obviously.
How do you know it's a walk? Did they ask the sheep?
I can't tell you on how many levels this is depressing.
What does Banksy's owner, Joanne Lefson, have to say about his talents?
They're non-existent.
She says, Banksy proves that sheep are not stupid.
Just the rest of us are.
Do you know how Banksy learnt his craft?
Did he do a foundation course and then a couple of years at the Courtauld?
He learnt from the best because he grew up with a pig painting prodigy, Picasso. Isn't it amazing that the same owner has managed to rear two animals that can paint?
Makes you understand the history of art, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, Renaissance Florence.
Yeah, you know, Paris in the turn of a century.
This farmyard.
Yeah.
Surely the picture be called Francis Bacon.
Do you want to know...
No. I've exhausted this story.
Nearly. I've got some final dregs to squeeze out.
Yeah,
One day, according to owner Joanne, the sheep picked up a paintbrush in his stall and started painting.
What was a paintbrush doing in its stall?
Yeah, with paint on it.
Yeah.
And a canvas. And the owner holding it, rubbing it against his face.
Do you know where Picasso is these days?
Yeah, he did a sandwich.
Here he is. This is a sheep in South Africa who, it says here, can paint. Here's the sheep with one of his paintings. I'd like to think one day we'll see that hanging somewhere for about 6 days until it's nice and gamey. Fingers on buzzers again.
These are the guys who have met in a pub every Thursday for 56 years, I think it was.
So a bunch of blokes meet up every Thursday for 56 years.
Yeah.
You got any idea what that might be like?
I don't know, because today's Friday.
Sorry, I was breaking the illusion there, wasn't I?
Yeah, you were breaking the illusion. This is live.
That's them now, that's them today. Do you want to see them back in the day?
I think so.
There they are, many years ago.
I see one of them used to be a woman.
I think it's a testament to the life-giving elixir that is beer.
5 of them are vampires because only one of them is showing a reflection in the mirror behind them. That's a worry. They're the undead.
What do you think they talk about when they meet up?
They probably do the organ recital like all old people do.
The what?
The organ recital, you know, like, how are you? Like, well, my stomach's a bit...
They were interviewed about what their secret is.
Is it that 5 of them sleep in coffins filled with the earth from Transylvania?
Not to my knowledge, no. They were asked on BBC Radio Sheffield about the importance of men opening up for the sake of their mental health. This is what they said.
I think times have changed, haven't they? And especially for men, like talking about feelings, talking about things that you're worried about. Are you good at that?
We don't do emotional type stuff.
It's the most Yorkshire thing I've ever seen.
You're going to have to say that all again in my ear.
You're sacked.
Gotcha. OK. Time now. Time now.
Time now. Why have you started talking like that?
Talking like what? That's how I talk.
Time now. I've been coming here 56 years. Time now.
You know, you've made me super self-conscious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, don't be super self-conscious. Just don't go, time now.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Goat Rancher.
Woohoo!
Here you go! All right? We start with this. Firemen left red-faced after what?
Fireman left red-faced after mistaking a black bin liner for Puma in tree.
Fireman left red-faced after state-of-the-art fire station burns down. This is a brand new fire station in Germany which burnt down when a fire broke out because it hadn't been fitted with fire alarms to detect the blaze. 999, cried the firemen as they watched the flames spread. Next, what could be the most impractical fashion trend ever?
Knee-length hats. See-through scarves.
What's wrong with a see-through scarf?
Do you like the one I'm wearing?
The answer is actually one-legged trousers.
That's a skirt.
OK, next, if you what, then expect a visit from the Spanish goat police.
If you impersonate a Spanish goat, are you a goat? Si, senor.
That's eerily accurate.
Eerily accurate, that's a Spanish goat. Si, senor.
Is that a Mexican goat?
No, it's a Spanish goat. Si, senor.
It's actually, if you need to verify the identity of your goat, then expect a visit from the Spanish goat police.
I hate to say this, but nobody expects a visit from the Spanish goat police.
Finally, King Charles complimented a goat in Guernsey by what?
By making it an admiral of the fleet.
Was it by text?
Ian, you were surprisingly close. King Charles complimented a goat in Guernsey by giving it an honour.
And what was that? Is it Baroness Moan? Entirely innocent.
Here is the King honouring the rare goat on a recent trip to the Channel Islands. Do you think that cheapens your knighthood, Sir Grayson?
Well, no. I mean, if they can be artists, then they can be knights as well. Fine.
Who'd you get a knighthood off? Which government?
The Tory government. I'm a crossbench, sir.
Time up, and the final scores are Ian and Grayson have 5, but Paul and Angela have 7.
Well done.
However, before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Grayson have this.
Goat-themed Extinction Rebellion tea.
That's what I call a stag do.
Paul and Angela get this.
We must never say what happened to Gerald.
On that note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Sir Grayson Perry, Paul Merton and Angela Barnes, and I leave you with news that at a literary festival in Essex, there's a world first as a book loses all of its value the instant its author signs it. After 2 years on an NHS waiting list, one man looks for an alternative way to cure his constipation. And in Florida, Donald Trump gets Melania to help him with his Halloween costume. Good night.
All eyes on the upcoming US election, but what happens once the result is in? Listen to Americast now on BBC Sounds. And one of my favourite shows of the year, starring David Mitchell, press red for cryptic comedy drama Ludwig, now on iPlayer. Never a simple gig for Wiki, The Cleaner is next.
Sorry.
In the shadow would dawn's first light. Tracks of the cunning are hidden in plain sight. Leaves whisper tales of what can't be foretold. In the crooked underbrush, secrets unfold. Through ancient oaks, the creek and moan, a figure moves swift and all alone. Eyes as bright as stars in a sea of night. Golden fur mingles with the morning light. He dances 'neath the moon where the wild things roam. In a world not bound by the hearth or home, mystery masked in amber eyes aglow. The fox knows things we'll never know. From
like the one I'm wearing.
The answer is actually one-legged trousers.
That's a skirt.
OK, next, if you what, then expect a visit from the Spanish goat police.
If you impersonate a Spanish goat, are you a goat? Si, senor.
That's eerily accurate.
Eerily accurate, that's a Spanish goat. Si, senor.
Is that a Mexican goat?
No, it's a Spanish goat. Si, senor.
It's actually, if you need to verify the identity of your goat, then expect a visit from the Spanish goat police.
I hate to say this, but nobody expects a visit from the Spanish goat police.
Finally, King Charles complimented a goat in Guernsey by what?
By making it an admiral of the fleet.
Was it by text?
Ian, you were surprisingly close. King Charles complimented a goat in Guernsey by giving it an honour.
And what was that? Is it Baroness Moan? Entirely innocent.
Here is the King honouring the rare goat on a recent trip to the Channel Islands. Do you think that cheapens your knighthood, Sir Grayson?
Well, no. I mean, if they can be artists, then they can be knights as well. Fine.
Who'd you get a knighthood off? Which government?
The Tory government. I'm a crossbench, sir.
Time up, and the final scores are Ian and Grayson have 5, but Paul and Angela have 7.
Well done.
However, before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Grayson have this.
Goat-themed Extinction Rebellion tea.
That's what I call a stag do.
Paul and Angela get this.
We must never say what happened to Gerald.
On that note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Sir Grayson Perry, Paul Merton and Angela Barnes, and I leave you with news that at a literary festival in Essex, there's a world first as a book loses all of its value the instant its author signs it. After 2 years on an NHS waiting list, one man looks for an alternative way to cure his constipation. And in Florida, Donald Trump gets Melania to help him with his Halloween costume. Good night.
All eyes on the upcoming US election, but what happens once the result is in? Listen to Americas now on BBC Sounds. And one of my favourite shows of the year, starring David Mitchell, press red for cryptic comedy drama Ludwig, now on iPlayer. Never a simple gig for Wiki, The Cleaner is next.
Sorry.